Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to the final episode of the Xbox Factor podcast for 2020. And quite frankly, we all cannot wait for 2020 to get the F out of here. It has been a tough year financially. It has been a tough year via health with COVID-19, but we are coming up on Christmas, one of the most joyous times of the year. Obviously, there are other holidays that we are going to represent here today. If you are someone that celebrates Hanukkah, we say Happy Hanukkah. Hopefully, you had an amazing time with your friends and family. We have Kwanzaa coming up right after Christmas. And of course, if you celebrate that, we want to wish you an incredible holiday season there. And if you are someone that celebrates Christmas, Zemi Gamer and I want to wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas. We want to thank you for taking the time to close out this incredible year for Xbox fans. We have a bunch of small topics. Then we're going to get into the retrospective conversation of the Xbox brand and platform in 2020. And then we're going to close out the show with what our expectations are for 2021 and beyond. And of course, we're going to be bringing up into the conversation what we expect Microsoft to bring to the table in regards to first-party games next year. But first, before we get into the opening topic, we're going to get into the cog that's here, keeps this show running each and every week. Zemi Games, also known, aka formerly the Constant Gamer. Welcome to the program.
Well, thank you for having me, Boom. And almost Merry Christmas to everyone, or Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate. Welcome to the show, and I hope everyone has a great holiday season. Man, I am just so heavy into Cyberpunk. We were talking about it before the show. I cannot get enough of this game. It is so good. But I had to put a pause on that because it is Xbox Factor time, and I'm super excited to be here. Can't wait to jump into these topics and talk, Xbox,
Yeah, and it's great to have you here. It's great to have everybody here. While we wait for everyone to file in and turn their radio or their phones up so they can hear this show from start to finish, I kind of want to just talk about what we've been playing. Now, Zemi, obviously, I think it's safe to say that with 80 plus hours into Cyberpunk, that is what you've been playing. But have you dabbled with anything else, or have you done? Well, what have you done in Cyberpunk?
A lot of side missions. I've been going around like the district of Watson, and I've been doing a bunch of like the little side gigs, and a lot of like the police, like the NCPD, like scanning things. And then I've been doing like a lot of like the bigger side missions. I've just really been wrapping everything up. I think on last show and then before this show, I was actually talking. I made my first character, who is a corpo male. And I played a good bit on that character, probably about 30 hours. And then I just, I finally decided, you know what? I really want to play as a female like character, and I wanted to be a street kid. So I made a brand new character. And really this last week, that's what I've been playing. I've just been playing with my new character. I've done everything that my previous character did and more. And I've just been going around and doing a bunch of the side missions. I think I probably have another 20, 25, maybe 30 hours left into the game until I beat it, until I have all the side stuff done. I'm trying to get all of the side stuff done so I can hopefully get the best ending possible. I don't know what any of the endings are, but I'm really trying to get the best ending possible. And that's really what I've been doing. It's just been nothing but Cyberpunk. My another game has not graced my beautiful Series X since I got Cyberpunk. But the better question is, Boom, what have you been playing?
Well, I have been like you. I like being laser focused into a title. I did play through two things, and one of them is a topic today. We're going to get into that to start the show. But I have been playing Immortals, Phoenix Rising, and I have to say, I mean, my goodness, this game came out of completely nowhere, and it is so not your atypical Ubisoft game. Now, what I mean by that is, sure, is the map littered with things for you to do? Sure. But there is a sense of I don't know, hashtag fun for this game. It has a silliness to it, and the writing is so on the nose where it doesn't take itself seriously. It breaks the fourth wall almost on a regular basis, with Zeus telling and someone else, I forgot who the second person is, telling the story from the back end of the Rise of Phoenix. And I gotta tell you, I mean, I posted a ton of video on it on Twitter, and it is worth your time. It is currently on sale at that big Xbox sale. And, if you were waiting, if you weren't sure, listen, trust me, I would not tell you to waste or spend your money if I didn't feel that you would enjoy the game. It is very reminiscent of Breath of the Wild, but with a tremendous amount of flair on its own right. If you're a loot hunter kind of a person, which I am, the customization options are just off the chart. You can find tons of weapons, tons of armor. If you, for instance, find a set of armor that you like, but that the stats aren't so good, but you happen to find an armor set that has off the chart stats, you can use the armor that has the best stats, but you can change it through the customization aspect and make your favorite looking armor that armor. So you still have the stats from the new armor, but you look like you're wearing your old armor. The customization options are crazy, and there's just so much to do. But what I want to open the show with, and I think that this has not gotten enough conversation, is Gears 5, the new DLC that is currently free in Xbox Game Pass called Hive Busters. Now, I'm going to say this. There are many gamers who weren't even looking in the direction of Gears 5 last year, though there were a ton of Xbox players and gamers in general that suggested that it was, just another Gears, or I kind of know what I'm going to get with it because it's another Gears. And I got to tell you, if you're one of those folks that skipped over Gears 5, first of all, I want to say shame on you if you're a fan. Second of all, I'm going to say that, yes, it is, you're going to get chainsawing, you're going to get cover taking, you're going to get having to perform perfect reloads. You're going to get all of that Gears goodness. But the way that they did the open world, where you kind of had the opportunity in every big section to go looking for things, was incredible. And I hope that they expand on that in Gears 6 whenever that comes. But what shocked me, and what still is a bit of a head scratcher, is as much as I truly love Xbox, and as much as we're going to talk at the back end of the show of how their marketing really took multiple pages out of Sony's book for this particular year, there are some aspects when they actually drop the ball. And this is one of those times that I have to be critical. The Gears DLC, not only is it free in Xbox Game Pass, like I said moments ago, but it is probably one of the best DLCs in years. And I say that because two of the biggest head-scratching moments is this, Zemi. First and foremost, there is basically no advertisement. When I was putting up video, and I put over 12 of them, I mean over 12 of my playthroughs, and I kept getting DMs and messages from people saying, "Holy cow, Boom! I didn't even know this was out. What do you think?" Well, it's a 9 out of 10. There's no doubt about it. So the advertisement to let people know that this graphical showpiece for your Series X is out there is, again, it's a head scratcher. But I think what is even more perplexing, Zemi, is that, like for instance, when you look at what PlayStation did with the PS5, there is as good as Demon's Souls is for some people. And again, I think it's a great game. It's just I suck at it, which is fine. And as much as Bugsnax is going to steal Game of the Year from many, many people, like CD Projekt Red's, I was going to say The Witcher 3.
Cyberpunk 2077.
Cyberpunk.
Yep.
They had Spider-Man Miles Morales, which showed off a lot of goodness with the PlayStation 5. And what I don't understand, Zemi, and I want to get your opinion on this, is how the DLC is depending on who you are, you could probably beat it in 3 or 4 hours. Me, I played through it about 7.5 hours because I look for things. I don't just run through the game. Um, this could have easily been a launch title to showcase the power of the Series X and the Series S, and the game is a graphical showpiece. Now, some people will suggest, well, wait a second, well, maybe it wasn't ready. But was it or wasn't it? See, that's the question, because the consoles released on the 10th of November, and in a mere month and 5 days later, the DLC drops in Game Pass. So, I mean, did it really need 35 more days for it to be polished? I don't think they would have done that, to be honest with you. So I don't understand why this game was not put in the front of the console, showing off its graphical power, because the game, quite frankly, anyone in the chat will agree with me, is gorgeous to look at. And it runs perfectly, no glitches, no bugs. It just is another showpiece for the Coalition, which leads me to want to say that as much as I want Gear 6, they really need to allow this team to venture out and make a new IP. They really, really do. I think that the studio is big enough and Microsoft has enough money to put a team on Gear 6 and then put a team on a new IP, because they have the chops to do it. What are your thoughts on my opinions, Zemi?
I have not played Hive Buster because I've just been super busy with Cyberpunk, right? But I really do want to play it. I've actually already hit up one of my buddies that every single Gears game we always play it co-op together. That's how we experience Gears of War. We've done it ever since we were 12 years old playing Gears of War 1, or maybe we were 13, I don't know, but we've played all of them together. And I hit him up, and we're planning on going through Hive Buster. We just haven't got to it yet, right? As far as your thoughts on them should have released it along the console, I mean, I get where you're coming with that, but there is a solid point that maybe it just wasn't ready. But I do get you, you would imagine that they could put some extra bodies on it and get it polished up a month early to put out. I mean, it is Microsoft, right? They have the money, they have a lot of developers now. But my main thing is that, do they really have to do that, right? Do they have to put this Gears of War Hive Buster DLC as like a standalone, like, major thing, almost like a launch title to get people interested in the Xbox? And I just don't think that they do, right? If anything, I think that would actually in some ways kind of hurt them. Because it would get people excited about, I understand that they can play it on their last gen consoles, but that's just another thing that would get them excited and then maybe kind of let them down because they're not, they're unfortunately not able to get one of these consoles. And all the consoles sold out. We kind of knew that they were going to do that anyway. So I don't really see necessarily why they would need to put that, as a I guess launch game for the Xbox series consoles. I get it to drive hype, but I think that there's more than enough hype already being provided from Team Xbox that it's just not really necessary, and that it just makes more sense just to hold back, not make developers potentially work more than what they need to work, and just release it a month after. Games are going to be ready when games are going to be ready, and I would rather them not rush anything. That of course is going under the idea that they were still working on it up until probably a week before it came out. I mean, we don't really know. But I really am excited about this Hive Buster DLC. I can see how it kind of did fly under the radar, and I can kind of understand why they didn't spend that extra amount of money towards marketing, because in the same way that the Medium didn't want to come out with Cyberpunk, is the same way, why would you spend marketing money get people to realize that Hive Busters is coming out when Cyberpunk is out, and it's Cyberpunk's a huge game, and Cyberpunk is also a game that Xbox has a marketing deal with. So so from that point of view, it's kind of like you're competing against yourself in some ways, right? So I can kind of understand why they didn't want to spend a tremendous amount of marketing, dollars advertising this game. Hopefully this is something that people definitely come to a little bit earlier, in 2021 and jump into. I definitely plan to do that myself. It's just not super heavy on my radar right now because I still have Cyberpunk to play. Once I beat Cyberpunk, I'm probably going to move on to Watch Dogs Legion that I purchased off of a sale. And then, a little bit later on in 2021, I'll probably finally be able to jump into Hive Buster whenever my buddy is ready to jump in and play it with me.
I mean, look, I'll say this to your point. I see what where the angle you're coming from. And did they really need to do it? And you say no. And I respect your opinion, but I say yes. The reason why I say that is because Halo Infinite was delayed. Mm-hmm. That's why. And you know what? If you're not going to have one of the Trinity be at the forefront of your launch. Now, look, people may argue with me and say, "What's just a second boom?" We have the RTS Gears, right? We have Gears Tactics. So there's your Gears. There's your Trinity. But the thing is this: I had all high hopes of playing it, loving it in a way that I've never loved RTS games before, and playing it through to its completion. Here's the problem. I didn't even get through the prologue because I was like, you know what? This game looks great, runs great. I'm okay with RTS, but for some reason it just wasn't clicking. Now, am I going to give it another shot? Sure. Does my brother Neo Mental absolutely love this game? 100%. Is it a game that I'm going to potentially love? Probably not. So for me, this isn't the kind of Gears game that I wanted, though, of course, I appreciate options. The fact that we didn't get a new Forza, which from what we understand, thanks to Jeff Grubb, we could potentially be getting a Forza Horizon 5 next year rather than Motorsport, which is fine by me because I prefer Horizon over Motorsport 10 out of 10 times, but I will play the other Forza. But because we didn't have any of the big ones, this DLC could have been upfront and personal. One of the biggest running things that many of these so-called outlets that sometimes you question their integrity when it comes to how they view Xbox and how they talk about Xbox, whether they're really going for clicks or really going for experienced journalism giving us information that we may or may not have, is that they said there was no real showpiece for the Xbox Series X, and this is where this DLC could have shined. And again, we're not going to agree on it, and that's fine. Yeah. But
well, I mean, and if I could just jump back in just for a second, I was kind of saying this, a little bit before these new consoles even dropped. It's we don't really need big reasons to buy these consoles. At least a lot of us don't, because we're hardcore, gamers. We're going to go out. We're going to buy these consoles anyway. But with that being said, I think it's okay that they didn't have a tremendous number of heavy hitting titles. It is, ultimately okay that, Halo didn't come out. Was it depressing? Absolutely. Did I wish for, to be playing Halo this holiday season? Absolutely I did. Right. And it's upsetting, but ultimately I think really it's okay because, we knew that these consoles were going to sell out anyway. Now, next holiday is when you definitely want these big hitters to come out. And I think Xbox is definitely going to, have those heavy hitters come out next year. So like if if we were having this conversation for next year, then I would absolutely be on board with you. Like Halo or some big title. It could be Halo, it could be Forza, it could be, it could be another Hive Buster like DLC. Something like that definitely does need to come out next holiday season when even more Xboxes are out. To push those console sales and to push people to transition to the new hardware. But for this holiday season, I just don't see, I just don't see it being necessary to have a tremendous number of titles that are going to interest people to switch over, because there's just not enough consoles to really even switch people over yet, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I think that, you make a great point. You make a great point in the way where, yes, these consoles were going to sell out, and Microsoft really didn't necessarily need a big banger to sell the console, though. What could have happened and what they could have used to their advantage. And again, we're not going to get into the Halo delay. We're just
Sure.
not, because it is what it is. But if they would have had a lineup similar to the PlayStation 5, let's say, for instance, Halo Infinite's one of those games. This DLC is there. 2 out of the 3 Trinity. We get us another surprise here and there. We got a bunch of indies, right? And they launch it. Well, yes, the consoles are going to sell out, but when you have bangers like that sitting in front of your console, people start to get the frenziness, and they're like, okay, I want one of these consoles. So when the consoles become available again, whether that be a week before Christmas, next week, 2 weeks after, or 3 months after, they're going to be racing to buy those systems because you've already whet their appetite with some bangers. See, Mike, and again, I get it. One of the advantages for Microsoft is, again, each company has their strengths and weaknesses. For right now, and I'm talking about speaking today on today's show, the weakness for Microsoft is their first party. Is that going to change? 1,000%. We're not even that's not even a question right now.
I wouldn't say weakness. I would say it's just unproven. I wouldn't say it's weak, because it's looking pretty strong right now with a lot of studios. I would just say that for the most part, it's still unproven.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a strong point. Unproven is a good way to put it. I mean, but still, it would be considered their Achilles heel for their strong armor that they have. And what's their armor? Well, their armor is that you have Xbox Game Pass, you have tremendous amount of deals, games inside of Xbox Game Pass that are great looking games, great playing games. Some of them are new, so you're getting your money's worth, and you're not having to go around collecting cans to afford to play games. So you're getting the best bang for your buck. And the promise of 23 studios with 35 plus teams. Well, I mean, there's a lot to get excited about, but again, the saying that they didn't really need to put this out there because the consoles would sell out. See, I would disagree with that, but I completely understand your point. I will say this in closing, because again, this is a small little salvo to what we're going to be talking about. I will say this: if you are someone that enjoys Gears, if you're someone that played Gears, that maybe enjoys adult themed, over the shoulder, third person, brutal type games with an incredible story, then you owe it to yourself to play Hive Busters, the DLC. Now it's $20 if you want to buy it, but if you're an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, it's free, which is even more incredible. So again, that value of Xbox Game Pass is just something that is unmatched, and this DLC is absolutely worth your time. And again, could you run through it in probably 3 or 4 hours? Probably. But again, I took a little over 7 because I look for all the collectibles and I still miss some stuff. So I'm going to play through it again, and I'm going to try and do it on a higher difficulty, but I want to get everything in there. It was just an amazing DLC. And again, my excitement for the Gears future continues to grow every time the Coalition touches and gives us new content. Now, I don't know if this is going to be the only single player campaign DLC. I don't touch the multiplayer. So the multiplayer for competitive is just not my bag. It's never been. Have I dabbled in it? Sure, but the single player stuff is more my speed, and it's definitely worth your time. Anything else you'd like to add before we move on to the next topic there, Zemi?
You know, if I'm not mistaken, isn't this Gears' first time releasing a single player DLC, or am I mistaken?
Well, you know what? I actually thought so, but then I went and I did the research.
They might have done something for
show.
Judgment. That's
Believe it or not, I think it was Gears 2 that had DLC, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm pretty sure because I looked it up prior to the show going live. So it was Gears 2. I don't know if Judgment actually had. A lot of people hate Judgment. I actually quite enjoy Judgment, to be honest with you. But I'm pretty sure that it was Gears of War 2 that had standalone DLC.
Got you. Well, you know, it's good that they're coming back to it now. It's been a while, but yeah, no, I hopefully. I mean, I haven't even played the first one, but I can tell you right now, I am a huge Gears of War single player campaign person, and I can say it honestly, probably without ever even playing Hive Buster. Hopefully, this is something that they continue doing. But yeah.
Yeah, and I agree. I want to see them continue this because they are very, very talented team. And again, we can get into the debate of where we think they should go. I mean, should they focus on Gear 6, making it the best Gears ever, or should they release a new IP? In fact, before we even get into the next topic, let's get the chat involved. First of all, we have over 200 people here. I want to say that if you're here, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Thank you for taking the time to be here. I also want to say that if you are enjoying the show, if you do support Double Barrel Gaming, you can continue supporting me by hitting the like button. It doesn't cost anything, and it does help this channel grow. The subs, for some reason, have slowed down, but it is the end of the year, so we're on our march to 8,000, and of course, hopefully in 2021 we do hit the magic 10K, and I can only do that with the help of the people here listening. So if you are not subbed, consider subscribing to the channel, and also if you are enjoying the content, do me a favor and hit that like button. It's would be honestly greatly appreciated. But let's move on, Zemi. And before we do that, let me just take a look at the chat and see what they're saying. See, chat, a lot of people want to see this talented team do some different things. Do you want to see the Gear 6 first, or do you want to see the Coalition, a very, very talented team, tackle something new, a new IP built from scratch, built from the minds of the Coalition? What do you guys and gals say? Let's check it out. Well, before we get to their answers, let me catch up on some of these outstanding and very generous super chats that have come in. The first one of the day came from us from Masshole 1977. Thanks so much for the generosity, brother, and thank you for being here. He says, "Happy Festus, the day we all air our grievances." Well, hopefully not, dude. I don't know. No family disputes on Christmas. Let's keep it to a low roar. The second one comes in from Michael Kulik. First of all, Mike, thanks so much for being here, brother. He says this after dropping an outstanding, very generous $5 super chat. "It would be great to see the Coalition branch off and make different things with the level of talent that they have. I just don't see Microsoft letting them." Yeah, you know what? I would agree with you. Like, why would you want them to do something else? But the one thing that we know about Microsoft is that they do allow their teams to do what they want to do. Now, granted, if the Coalition wants to do Gears and they don't want to venture off, well, who am I to tell them otherwise? But I think that they're so talented, and one of the small absences, if you will, one of these small, spaces on the shelf of this wonderful collection we know as the Xbox platform, is that over-the-shoulder, story-driven, adult-themed kind of games. And we know that they can do Gears well. It would be pretty damn awesome to have them do something new. I mean, listen, they have stories, and they have probably tons and tons of IPs that they've come up with. I say take a chance. Their studio is big enough where they could work on both and use the same tech. But here's a small little piece of nugget. I read this. I can't confirm it yet, but this is what I read. And apparently the foliage that was on display in the Hive Buster DLC is the same tech being used by Playground Games for Fable. That's right. You heard me right. Apparently, the talented team at Playground Games has used some of the tech that the coalition has. This is one member of Zemi. We talked about this about the beginning of the year about how they were going to start sharing tech between the studios. And here's your first example. So if you want to know what I'm talking about and you haven't played it, go check out the foliage in the DLC called Hive Busters, because it's crazy. It's crazy good. The next super chat comes in from our good friend Mr. Tushy, drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, Zemi, thinking of you while eating Ferno. It's Ferrano Rocher?
I think it's Ferrero Rochelle.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't speak Italian.
I think you're right. I think that it might be one of those candies. Those candies from the commercial that when
it is. Yeah, it's like the little bowls and it's like
chocolate
on it. Yeah,
they're good on you, brother. Thank you for the generosity. Thanks for being here as always. Dream Eater drops an outstanding, very generous $2 super chat and says, looking forward to the medium January 28th. Yes, indeed. One of the first big salvos for Microsoft in 2021 is the medium. And my God, that looks fantastic. Michael Kulik drops another very generous $5 super chat and says, it was Gears 3 Judgment was a standalone title. Oh, indeed. Well, there you go, brother. Well, thank you for the correction. And our very good friend Robert Jones drops a very generous $15 super chat and says, agree with Zemi. No need to rush anything now. Holiday 2021 is where it will be important to show as many bullets as you have in the barrel to present your case to get an Xbox over anything else. Well, indeed, that is a strong point. Look at that, Zemi. You got people swooping in to defend your honor and your opinion. Thank you, Robert.
I knew I always liked that Robert Jones guy. I knew I always liked him.
He is definitely one of the good ones, for sure. And Nightwolf 3186 shows his generosity with an outstanding generous $5 super chat, says, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, fellas. Much love to you and each and every member who's guested or been a part of this channel. One of the best. Well, thank you, dude, for that. And of course, we wish you the same, of course, to you and your family. Have a very festive and happy New Year, as well as a happy holidays, but more importantly, a safe one. Now, the one I want to talk about next is, Microsoft does things that most people do not give them credit for. And they released a commercial that I think a lot of people overlooked. And it, when Zemi, we were just talking momentarily about how their marketing has really ramped it up to 11. And if you remember, during the Super Bowl of last year, they released a commercial with the adaptive controller where the title was "We All Win When We Play Together." Again, talking about it, folks, gives me goosebumps because I'm an emotional kind of a dude. I try not to tear up and cry live on the air. But I've held tears back on certain subjects. And the adaptive controller commercial was so humanizing for a giant corporation where they put their giant foot forward in the best way possible. Well, they released another marketing blitz targeting the senior community. So you say to yourself, wait a second, how many older people are really playing games? Well, this new program is called, or this new commercial was called Xbox Beyond Generations. And it's a new outreach program that many in the industry do not do. You do not see this coming from Sony. You do not see this coming from Nintendo. And very rarely do you see anything like this coming from any of the big publishers like the EAs or the Activisions and, whoever else. But you did see this happen just the other day from one of the biggest, most richest companies in the world, the Microsoft Corporation, more specifically the Xbox division. And it's what they said in the Xbox Wire article, Zemi, that I found to be very touching. It says, games are a source of joy, inspiration, and social connection, says head of Xbox Phil Spencer. They have the power to bring us together, create empathy, and strengthen our social fabric. With Xbox Beyond Generations, our aim is to highlight the relationship building potential of modern games and to encourage younger people to start gaming with older family members. Now, if you don't know exactly what I'm talking about, I don't know how important your grandfather or grandfathers are or were to you, but my grandfather was a pinnacle aspect of my growing up. And I loved him until the day he was gone. And this particular commercial, or it's more like a documentary, the documentary, rest of documentary.
Mhm.
Wow, bad English, folks, bad English. That really pulls on the heartstring, and it shows a younger gamer want to get, I guess, more in touch with his grandfather, who normally sees but can't because of COVID. And I don't know who sent the Xboxes, folks. I don't know if this was a pilot program that Microsoft is doing that they paid, or the kid or the family said, "Yeah, listen, let's get Grandpa an Xbox." But they got him an Xbox, and he started playing it. And it's just, I mean, they show the different meetings where they're talking on the headphones and and they're playing games. They're playing like he's trying to explain to him how to play Forza, or you hit the right trigger to do the gas. And it's so powerful in the little words that are being used. Like, it's not a commercial to sell you an Xbox. It's a commercial to sell you hope, to sell you togetherness, to sell you on family. And you
To
don't
sell you the
see
Xbox
this.
brand.
Well, pretty much, yeah. So, did you get a chance to take a look at the at what I was talking about, Zemi?
Yeah, well, I did not read the article.
No, I'm saying, did you see the commercial?
Did see the commercial. I
So,
did see the
okay, so
commercial.
what are your thoughts on this new marketing tactic by Microsoft, showing and proving that the bottom line isn't the dollar. It's really the people.
Yeah, I mean, so it is a great example of modern day marketing. It really is. It's a great example of how to properly use storytelling and a promotional piece of material that really follows storytelling and the hero's journey, and it really gets you invested, and it really cuts you down to your emotions, right? Like, that was just that kid and his grandfather, but it started making you think of your own family, and maybe not seeing them in a very, very long time, and how you feel about that. And it also, in some ways, it gives you that solution, but if nothing else, it makes you look at the Xbox brand in a new light. It makes you look at them as people who care about you more than they care about making money. Now, is that true? Maybe it's not. I mean, they are a business. They're after to get those dollars, but it doesn't matter about that. What it matters is how you feel after you watch that, and what their ultimate goal, what it would appear, what it would appear as their goal is 100% pulling through during that commercial. That commercial makes me, care about the Xbox brand. It makes me think that that Xbox cares about me as an individual, me as a person. They care about me. They care about my family. They care about my social life. They want the best for me, right? Just like they want the best for everyone, right? And regardless of if that's true or if that's not, that's the message that's being portrayed, and it's being portrayed in such a great way. But one thing that this commercial really makes me think about, and this is something that I say a lot to a lot of different people all the time, is that a lot of people, they look at gaming as a enjoyable, fun hobby, pastime, something that they just they just jump into Call of Duty, they play games, they just love it, right? And for the most part, that's absolutely true. That is exactly what gaming is. But for me, and for a lot of people on this planet, gaming is more than just that, right? Gaming is a way to heal. Gaming is a way to help people who aren't social become even more social. A few years ago, I was talking to a I believe she was around 70 years old, and she was just, an old grandmother who played Xbox, and the only game that she ever played was Skyrim. And we've seen some of them, like we've seen
Yes.
Skyrim
Yeah.
Grandma, but this wasn't her. It was just another one, right? And, I was talking to her because I was just absolutely fascinated about it, right? And what she was telling me is that her doctor actually recommended her playing video games and interacting with the characters in Skyrim as a way to become more social and be able to interact with people. And that's so sad, but it's true. A lot of these elderly people, they don't really have a lot of people around them to talk to. They might just live in their house by themselves. And after a few months of doing that, they just kind of ostracize themselves even more and even more. And gaming is a great way to help that. For a lot of elderly people who play these games, like they might just play single player games by themselves and just interact with NCP or non-player playable characters, right? But Xbox is now providing another outlet of that, where instead of just playing with non-playable characters, you can play with your grandchildren, or you can play with your children, and that is just so immaculate. And more, as years go on, we are continuing to see the benefits and the positivity that gaming really brings, and I absolutely love it. Not too long ago, I saw a trailer about this woman who is using games. I think she started an organization. It might have been during like an E3 or a VGA, but she's starting up an organization to use gaming as like medicine. Not too long ago, a few months ago, we heard about an actual video game being I guess filed by the FDA as for doctors to actually prescribe to young children with ADD.
Yes.
The power of gaming is so much more than just sitting back shooting at noobs on Call of Duty, right? It's so much more than that, and I really love how Xbox is pushing this new narrative that gaming isn't just for fun. Gaming can be used for so much more, and to me, that's what that commercial really speaks out to me, and what it communicates. I mean, ultimately what it's going to communicate to a lot of people is that Xbox is just an amazing brand who really truly cares about you, and that is a huge critical building block for where they are taking their brand, right? And it's going to work immaculate for them. But for me, it just means so much more than just that. It means that, finally more people are going to see the power of gaming, because so many times, we always hear all the negativity of gaming, with all these console wars, or, it's not as popular or publicized as it was, once. But we heard for the longest time, gaming creates violence in children, right? And that is a huge subject. We could talk about that all day long, of how that is just stupid, right? But finally, we're now hearing the positive side of gaming, of what it can do, for your mental health, or for your physical health, or just for you as a person, and that's just really magical, and that's fantastic.
Yeah, and something, well said, verse, my friend. I mean, I don't think I could have added or even outdone you on that. I think that you bring up a tremendous amount of really, really strong points, where this kind of marketing goes beyond just trying to sell you an Xbox. I think that some people will be jaded enough to suggest such a thing, like, oh, it's just Microsoft. They want to make money. Sure, they do. They're a corporation that has investors that want to make money. Absolutely. But it's because of people like Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, who is a driving force. And if you think otherwise, listen, I'm not going to dare tell you how to think. All right. That's not what the show's about. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and you can voice it on this show or off or otherwise. But if you can't suggest to me, as a rational thinking host, that we can't thank Microsoft, or more importantly, Phil Spencer, for still being a corporation, still pleasing the investors, but at the same time still being a human being, a gamer at his core, by pushing these kinds of narratives. You see, sure, is it easy to push the narrative of sell, 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 game, 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 and we want you in Game Pass? Sure, they do that. They'll sell you a console. They'll sell you Xbox Game Pass for the rest of your life. That's what they want to do. But with all of that, with all of the corporation shenanigans that goes on, it's these kind of programs that you only see from the Xbox brand. Like, for instance, now, how many, just out of curiosity, how many handicapped gamers do you think there are out in the world? I would say quite a few. I couldn't tell you the percentage, but I could tell you that how many YouTube videos I've personally watched of the adaptive controller being used for the Nintendo Switch. So a young girl who is severely impaired can play Breath of the Wild and feel the same joy that you and I feel when we're playing our favorite game, right? Who did that? Microsoft did that. Yep. Now, did Sony immediately copy and paste it and want to be? No, they didn't. They can give a flying shit. They don't care. They don't care about that aspect of the community because they just want to sell you a game. Did Nintendo, the family system, run out and make an adaptive controller so you can play games on their system if you suffer from an impairment? No, they did not. Microsoft did that. And what Microsoft did, even further, is allow that peripheral to be used on other consoles so other gamers could enjoy whatever game they wanted to play using their tech. What does that say for the company? That says that they're a little bit more human than a lot of people give them credit for. So I'll say this in closing of this, again, not the biggest topic of the one, but I thought that, considering the world being as effed up as it is and wanting maybe a bright spot in the conversation, this was definitely one of them that we needed to talk about. I love Microsoft for that. In fact, when I see things like this, it makes me even more excited to make them my first choice of being the place I play first, that I invest my money into because of what they stand for outside of just being a $1 trillion company. And again, maybe I'm being too much of a realist here, but that's me as a whole, as a human being. And I think that this was a big story, one that did not get enough credit, very similar, Zemi, to what we saw with the adaptive controller. It was like a fart in the wind. Like many of these the mainstream media did one article, never went back to it, could give a flying shit, got a couple of clicks for them and whatever. This is a program that Microsoft is pushing, and no one's talking about it. Well, you're going to get that kind of talk on this show, which is why you tune in. Anything else in closing that you'd like to add, Zemi?
No, I think we covered it very, very, very good, man. I really do. I think we really we went in there. We got it done.
Well, I'm glad we could have this conversation. Real quick, let me just catch up on the super chat that just popped in. Our very good friend Kirby Zero Louise drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, PSA, the official RDNA 2 t-shirt is up for order and in stock on AMD's website. If you're a nerd like I am, it's a great self-Xmas gift. That actually would be kind of cool. I don't have any RDNA shirts, so that would actually be kind of cool. Thank you for the super chat, brother, but thank you for the info. I do want to move on to one of the, I think, interesting topics. Now, I threw this in here specifically because it's interesting, but more so because I know how much you like Battlefield. We know that you're a big fan there, Zemi. Mm-hmm. And on topic number 3, with Call of Duty already locked up with PlayStation and EA having a rock-solid relationship with Microsoft, I think it's safe to assume that the rumored Battlefield 6 will be marketed by Xbox. Now, with that said, there are a ton of juicy rumors that I want to talk about thanks to an article that I pulled from GameRant.com. According to them, the upcoming Battlefield 6 will supposedly feature a present-day setting and the fictional World War III. Now, this rumor stems from a Reddit post from user William underscore Fichtner, who does not provide any kind of evidence to back up his claims, though considering fans, of the brand who have been waiting for them to come in back into the future, so to speak. Again, take this with a grain of salt, but it is interesting nonetheless. Now, this isn't the first time rumors have cropped up about Battlefield 6 having a modern day setting. At any rate, the rumor claims that Battlefield 6 will feature the fictional World War III, which will be a conflict between the NATO forces and Russia. Now, this already sounds awesome, in my opinion, so I say sign me the F up. But what's even more interesting is that Battlefield 6 will bring back the War Stories feature from the current games in the series, as opposed to a story campaign with a singular narrative. And I like that, because one of the fun aspects for me anyway as a gamer is, sure, take, like, when you played Call of Duty Modern Warfare, you were the character, and you were the character almost through the entire game. There were some side missions, but I, Zemi, like the idea of getting to use multiple characters from multiple perspectives, from multiple avenues of the said war. For so far, with what we talked about with Battlefield 6, and of course the quote-unquote rumored World War III setting, which means that it would bring us into modern times, are you happy to hear this?
I am very happy to hear that. I like, the older kind of combat. I really like, World War I, World War II. That is, fantastic. But, my bread and butter, I think, is probably always going to be modern warfare, like modern combat. I really, really like that. And I like the idea, like the overall, I guess, like story beat of, it's World War III, US versus Russia. Like, I really like the idea of that. Of course, I would imagine other countries are going to be involved in that conflict. It's not just going to be the United States and Russia, I wouldn't imagine. But I like that idea, and hopefully, if any part of the rumor is true, hopefully that's one of the parts in the rumor that's true. One thing that I actually, probably 3 years ago, I would have never said this, but after playing Modern Warfare and after playing Black Ops Cold War, one thing that I will actually add that I really kind of hope that they double down on is, like, the war stories. I thought that was done very, very well in Battlefield 5.
Yes.
With you playing as the Norwegian resistance woman up north in Norway, and you playing as the British soldier in North Africa. And even the German, I thought that was really, really well done. But I would love for that to be fleshed out even more, with even more characterization, and I want to be more immersed in the world, because whenever I played Modern Warfare, and even whenever I played Black Ops Cold War, like I knew I was playing a first person shooter, and I'll tell you, I want to play a first person shooter, but I want to be so immersed that it doesn't feel like a regular first person, shooter game. Like, I felt that way whenever playing Modern Warfare. Like, I was enjoying running around shooting stuff, absolutely, but it didn't really feel like a first person shooter in some ways, because it was just so narratively strong. Right. And it was so immersive. And I would love to kind of feel that same way in Battlefield, because that's one thing that Battlefield really, really does very, very well, is immersion with those amazing high textured graphics and just phenomenal sound effects and stuff. But from a narrative perspective, I would love for them to double down and go even further in the war stories to really get me invested, and the way that I felt like I was a big Navy SEAL man, playing Modern Warfare, and the way that I felt like I was like this undercover CIA agent in Black Ops Cold War. I want to feel that way in this new game. I really do. And that's one thing. If I could have anything, any pick of what I would want this game to try to accomplish or try to do, it would be doubling down on an amazing narrative experience, because the last time that I really, really thoroughly enjoyed myself in the single player of a Battlefield game, honestly, was probably Bad Company. That series was absolutely
So
fantastic.
good,
It
dude.
was
So
so
good.
hysterical, right? But I want, I really want to really be immersed into the world and really care about the characters, because in Bad Company, I cared about the characters and what happened to them, and
Yes.
and the quest for the gold, for the Russian gold, like that. It was so great,
So
and I
good.
would love for them to repeat that. I'm sure the multiplayer is going to be fantastic. The multiplayer is always good, but my hope is really the single player, because more and more every year that passed, like, I'm enjoying these Call of Duty campaigns more than I'm really enjoying the multiplayer, it seems like.
Well, I mean, it's true. I agree with that. I mean, I was a huge, I mean, I don't currently play online as much as I would like. Again, it has to do with my responsibility as a husband in the evening, which is my time spent with Mrs. Boom. And obviously during the day, I still have to maintain my home because she's still working, and of course I write for 3 shows, so the playing online isn't as much as I would like. I'd love to game more with the community. It's just that there's not enough time in the day. So I play like you, mostly like says stuff like this, the single player. But back in the days, man, when I had time for days, I used to play Battlefield 2 like a fiend, dude. And look, I'll say this. I understand there are people that will fight me on this and say, boom, you got to play Warzone. It's the greatest thing since sliced bread, or Call of Duty, whatever, online. Yeah, that's okay. But I always enjoyed Battlefield's multiplayer, to be honest with you. I thought having all the vehicles, everyone running for a helicopter or a tank or whatever, to just converge in the middle and just destroy the shit out of everybody. It's so much fun. But I think that this is going to be big, Zemi. And I think that we're going to get both sides of the coin that are going to be fantastic. I think that as fans, I think we're due, especially when you look back to how originally broken Battlefield 4 was, but then what it turned out to be, my God, it was incredible. And I think that they may have gotten all of their T's crossed and their I's dotted. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, are you expecting a two-headed dragon to hit us heavy next year?
It's EA. So, I don't know exactly what to expect with EA. EA so far has not been doing too bad, right? Like they've kind of straightened up, it seems, kind of as a company. They've been releasing some pretty good stuff. Jedi Fallen Order was phenomenal. Star Wars Squadrons, that was really, really good as well. I haven't really played any other EA stuff here recently, but it does seem that EA is kind of straightened up a little bit, and maybe they learned a lesson after all of these scandals and shenanigans that they've put themselves into. I would like to think that, Battlefield 6 comes out, the multiplayer is phenomenal. Maybe, it probably will have some bugs, but just nothing super, super ridiculous. And, of course, the servers are going to be a huge mess whenever that game comes out, because they're always a huge mess. But I really, really hope that the campaign is on point. It just really gets me excited. It really gets me invested. It really makes me feel like I'm a big, Navy SEAL military man running through the streets shooting Russians. I really hope that, and I hope that the multiplayer does the same exact thing, and it's just absolutely just amazing, action packed, gets my heart rate up, and as I'm running through the streets, shooting at actual people. Well, not actual people, but what I mean.
Well, virtual people. Yes. Let's clarify. So Zemi's a peaceful man. He doesn't want to shoot at anybody.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, my hopes are relatively high for the game, but once again, it's always EA.
Yeah.
So you're always gonna have that in the back of your head. What are they gonna screw up this time? But they've been doing pretty good. I mean, and speaking of EA, big props to them for allowing backwards compatibility, for having smart delivery. You know,
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
big props for them. I mean, like out of all the companies who you would have put on the list of not doing that, you know, who you would have put on that naughty list of not ever doing that, you would have probably put EA,
Yeah,
right? And
absolutely. No doubt about it, dude.
they shocked the crap out of me. I mean, I'll tell you. So, I don't know. I have nothing but good hopes for the game. I think a lot of us, we always have really good hopes for the game, and I really hope that that DICE can create something absolutely amazing that you know, everyone out in the Battlefield community, myself included, will be addicted to for you know, the years to come.
Well, you know what? Just to give you guys a little bit some more information regarding this leak, it says here that for the multiplayer fans of Battlefield, there is something more awesome coming. Beyond the single player content, the leaker also touches on some Battlefield 6 potential multiplayer modes as well, which includes the standard Battlefield multiplayer modes like Breakthrough and Conquest and Domination, which is one of my favorites, and Grand Operations, and of course, Team Deathmatch. Though Battlefield 6 is rumored to have up to 64 versus 64 battles, which is in line with the recent rumors of the some other of the FPS that's in coming from EA and DICE. Now, you know, to your point, I have to bring up the fact that, okay, listen, you know, Vince Zampella, if you don't know who he is, Vince Zampella was the lead dog at Infinity Ward during the great Call of Duty days, meaning that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. And obviously, you know what happened to him, where he got booted by Activision, and it was a big mess, big legal eagle mess. And he winds up creating his own studio from scratch with a good portion of the people that worked at Infinity Ward, and they created Titanfall, which is still one of my favorite Xbox exclusives. I mean, I don't normally prestige any of these Call of Duties. It's not my bag. But that, I got to the highest level, got every achievement in the game, just was my favorite game of all time, and which is why I my heart hurts when Apex Legends continues to do good, because we don't know when we're going to get a Titanfall 3. But bringing it back to Battlefield, we do know that Vince Zampella has been promoted, where he is heading DICE LA. And with him in charge of DICE LA, I don't know if DICE LA is doing the Battlefield 6, but I would like to assume that if they have involvement in this game with Vince Zampella running the show, I think we're going to be in for a treat. And I'll say this, and again, this is just my personal opinion, folks. There's no rumor about this. There is no written documentation. I feel that Vince Zampella is such a strong mind in gaming, and he's so prevalent at EA, that I personally believe his next position is going to be upwards of like a Phil Spencer over all of EA. I think he's going to be overseeing like how Phil Spencer handles the whole of Xbox. I believe that eventually Vince will be promoted and head off the entire EA catalog. And I think that when it happens, not if it happens, so I think that it is going to happen, we are going to see a big turnaround. I can't say with the working conditions. I don't know what's going on there, if it's improved or not, but I can say in the game quality, especially in something like a Battlefield, I have real strong high hopes with Vince running the show and steering the ship. It is going to be something very, very special. I do want to move on to the second half of the show, and we're going to be talking about Xbox. Well, this is an Xbox podcast, so why wouldn't be? But I want to talk about specifically Xbox 2020 and what our thoughts and theories, and we give we're going to give a grade of what we thought Microsoft did with their first party, what they did with their marketing, what they did with their, player engagement, what Xbox Game Pass means to the console for this year moving forward. And I'm going to give our expectations as we close out the show what we expect. What does 2021 look like for us? What our expectations are, and beyond. But before I do that, let me thank two people that dropped super chats in here. A very good friend and generous friend of the show, Chaos Theory, drops a very generous $5 super chat. Hey, Chaos, thank you for being here. As always, definitely appreciate the support. He says, happy holidays, Boom and Crew. Well, thank you, my brother. Happy holidays to you and yours. May it be a festive one, but more importantly, a safe one. And this always makes me laugh. Crap Gamers Daddy. Hey, listen, you are the father. Sorry for that. He drops an outstanding $10 super chat and says Sony gets hit a little lately for always making third-person games. However, I think that there is some truth in there. I wish they would take their newfound confidence and vary it up. Long live Resistance. FOM. Oh, dude. Let me tell you something. Right now. Okay. If BitCloud Gaming was here, we would be smiling from our inner souls, because I will say this, one of my all-time favorite PlayStation 3 games, let alone launch games of all time, is Resistance Fall of Man. It was a masterpiece then. It will be a masterpiece when they re-release it in an HD. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what the house that brought us Spider-Man and Miles Morales is currently doing, but they are rumored to be working on it. Insomniac Games has a lot on their plate, right? They did put out Miles Morales. They have Ratchet and Clank coming out in the first, I want to say, quarter of 2021. I want to say maybe even like the fourth month. Well, yeah, it would be the quarter. It would be the fourth month of the year. And they've been rumored to be working on now, whether it's a remake, whether it's a remaster, whether it's a reimagining, I don't know. But my God, Resistance Fall of Man, if you've never played it, and you can find a PlayStation 3, or if it's available in PS Now, play that game. It is a monster title that many people overlooked, and it's your typical Insomniac. The weaponry in that game was just phenomenal, dude. Great. Definitely appreciate you bringing that up. But Zemi, look, 2020, we know already. We don't have to keep repeating it. It's just an awful year for so many reasons. Mm-hmm. But for the gaming community, it's been a year of years, because a lot of us were stuck at home. We had to shelter in place. A lot of people were working from home. A lot of people were getting invested in video games that never got invested before, because it is a great outweigh of getting away from the world, for sure. Mm-hmm. But Xbox, more specifically, I think had an unbelievable 2020. And they started this insane journey of just hit after hit after hit in 2019 with the Game Awards. And it's just, for me anyway, has been uphill ever since. Now, sure, has there been some dips? Of course. It's like the stock market. You're going to get some really, really big wins. And of course, you're going to get some, you're going to drop. You're going to bottom out every now and again and come back up. And Microsoft did do that a few times. But in a roundabout way, I understand that when you look at, like, for instance, what Sony did in 2020 with the titles that they had, and their first party Deliverance was nothing short of just immaculate. But Microsoft quietly had a very, very strong year. And what was more impressive, I think, is that the games that they still had out, they still continued to not only support, but bring new content to. A perfect example of that is Sea of Thieves. Now, admittedly, Sea of Thieves, not Boom's bag. And the reason why is because there's no dedicated single-player campaign. Sure, there's single-player content, but it's not really meant to play the games in a single-player kind of a way, like you would Uncharted. See, that's what I want out of the next Sea of Thieves. Give all the fans, all the pirate legends like Clowns and everyone else, give them, Joe, Mr. Badbit, and of course Insipid Ghost. Give them their high C antics online with multiplayer. That's good for them. I don't want no part of it. It's a big commitment, and I, again, because of my current life, I just don't have the time to play online. I would love to play Sea of Thieves in a dedicated single player way, which I hopefully they will eventually bring out. But getting to Sea of Thieves, this is a game, Sammy, that saw over 20 million players in 2020. I think that was the number. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, chat, please let me know and I will correct myself. I know that they had, it might have been 11 million. Okay, yeah, it was. It wasn't 20. It was 11 million players in 2020. That's where I got the mix up. And to say that they had that many players in 2020 is just incredible. But more so is that this type of game that many people poo-pooed, and I'm not going to call it any of the particular podcasters that deserve to be called out, but I don't run that kind of a show. You know who you are. You should be ashamed of yourself. That basically shat on this game has not only come back in the biggest way possible. Okay, looks great, plays great, everyone loves it that plays it, but Zemi, it's starting to gain ground in Korea and Japan, which is where they just launched Xbox Game Pass. And if you think about 2020, you think about the pandemic, Microsoft has expanded their borders in a way that we've never seen before. Two particular regions that I just mentioned are starting to really like Xbox, but they don't have to buy the hardware to do that. Microsoft is targeting that audience that plays on their phones, more importantly, on their PCs in these cafes. Well, not with the pandemic, but plays on their tablets, and it's starting to take off. Let's just talk about that for a second, Zemi. Not just about Sea of Thieves, but the range that Microsoft is reaching with Project xCloud that has now come to fruition.
Yeah, I mean, Project xCloud, and we had talked about this for months preceding it, right? We've been talking about the power that xCloud has in these specific markets like Japan, like South Korea, where mobile gaming is huge. And and I've mentioned it a ton of times on this show, and I think you have as well, is that we as gamers, we as Xbox fans, we're kind of stuck into, Xbox is a console. I play with controllers on my TV. It's great, right? We're kind of stuck into that. And we're kind of just like fully immersed into the world of, gaming through a console. But whenever you look at it, on the wide scope, globally, 50% of the revenue is mobile gaming. It's a huge, huge, huge market that up until now, Xbox has really had no potential possibility of penetrating. And that is a huge, huge win for Xbox, especially, when looking at it from the perspective that, Japan has always been, a region that Nintendo and Sony have dominated. Xbox has really, kind of dropped the ball in those areas. And with this new interest in Japan, I mean, it's phenomenal. And a lot of it, is based off of, I feel, xCloud. And it's based off of, Xbox's new mentality of play where you want to play.
Yes.
Right? If you want to play on console, play on console. If you want to play on PC, that's great. If you want to buy, Sea of Thieves on Steam, go for it, right? That is their new mentality. Play where you want to play so long as you play our games, right?
Yeah.
And the power of xCloud allows that. And, I know we're not talking about next year, but I really think that xCloud is a huge key to the future of the gaming industry and where we are going. The same way that music has gone digital, the same way that movies have gone digital, the same way that, whenever, because a lot of movie theaters are unfortunately closed, you can still go watch a movie opening night on your TV, through your Amazon Fire Stick and pay $20. The way that a lot of our media has went digital and is now being streamed, I think xCloud is going to be a huge, huge key into that doorway for gaming. So much so that, I've said it, you've said it. I think, eventually we are going to see these older, last gen consoles possibly having an xCloud app built into them so that you can play next gen games on last gen hardware. And so, the power of xCloud is just so amazing, and it offers so many new growth opportunities for Xbox. Whether that's getting people to maybe just go buy a last gen piece of hardware to play next gen games using xCloud, or whether that's getting someone who has historically always played on a Nintendo Switch or a DS in Japan to finally log into the Xbox app on their smartphone and start playing Halo. xCloud is a huge, amazingly large tool to get people onto the Xbox platform. And that's definitely one of like this year's crowning moments, crowning achievements, and one of like the big reasons why Xbox has seen so much growth going into going throughout this year, right? Yeah.
I mean, look, everything you said is spot on. I mean, again, the engagement factor for Project X Cloud, expanding it past the hardware. Listen, there are going to be people like myself, right? Like I've been in the program since since E3, and I had a chance to play many games on it. But it's not my go-to play because I have a big 65-inch TV with all the bells and whistles. So I'm old school. But there is a new generation of gamers that Microsoft is targeting, one of which that Nintendo has grabbed the interest. There's a reason why the Switch is as popular and has won. I think I don't know. There's like 37 to 38 weeks. It could be longer, but it could be into the 40s already. How many weeks of or months? I'm sorry, I said weeks. Months of NPDs that they have won. I mean, obviously, their software is great. They take nothing away from Nintendo. For crying out loud, I love Nintendo. I got like 75 games for the console, but it's the portability aspect. It's the ability to be playing on your screen with your controller, having to go to a doctor's appointment or go wait for your wife to come out from work or go on a long flight to wherever, and taking your console and playing it like you were just playing it on your TV, but in the palm of your hands. That is exactly why Project X Cloud is going to be an even bigger deal, especially in these regions that Microsoft has been scoffed upon. Like it's the American company. Get them out of here. We know how they failed in Japan. We know how they failed in Korea, but not for much longer. Now, a lot of people don't understand that this year, now, again, it's not Halo Infinite, right? It's not Gears 6. It's not Forza Motorsport. It's not Project Perfect Dark or Fable or Avowed. I get it. Those are all the AAA bombs that we want and potentially could be getting next year, some of which anyway. Mm-hmm. But they released 15 Xbox Game Studio games this year. 15, Zemi. Mm-hmm. And I know that a lot of people will, they'll fight you on that. Well, they're not the same level as Sony's Last of Us 2, boom, so they don't count. Well, that's where you're wrong. They actually do count. I mean, Flight Simulator, 92 Metacritic, coming to Xbox Series X and S, confirmed for the summer. That game is people are loving it. Here's another one. The one with the bugs, with the spiders. That everyone grounded. Everyone, listen. That game was made as a passion project. Did very well. You know what I'm saying? It's again. We can get into the hows and whys about what you want as a first party game, but you can't deny releasing something like Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which, by the way, was completely robbed as not being one of the major winners for any category. It really could have done very well, and it just didn't. I don't know why. That game's a masterpiece, and now that it's running at 120 frames per second on the Series X and the S, well, why aren't you playing that game? That's the question. For you, right? What are your expectations? Or no, not so much the expectations. Your opinions on Microsoft quietly releasing that many titles in a year of COVID.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is kind of Xbox's plan, right, is like, obviously, they're going to try to make a big deal out of like their heavy hitters, but there's always going to be those smaller games that only appeal to a smaller audience, right? For instance, Bleeding Edge did not appeal to me in the least bit, but I guarantee you there is a decent number of people out there who it did appeal to and who absolutely loved the game, right? It wasn't my jam. But see, that's the thing about xCloud, and that's what they need to do, right? Is of course they're not going to be releasing a game that is up to the caliber of The Last of Us every single game, right? And why would you want to do that, right? Because that's not going to appeal to everyone. They're doing something that's different than PlayStation, right? And what PlayStation does is phenomenal. What they do is phenomenal, but that doesn't mean that what Xbox is doing isn't phenomenal as well. It's just two different companies doing two different things, right? PlayStation relies on actually selling the games, whereas Xbox is relying on selling the service. And
Yes.
we know, we've seen with Netflix, we've seen with all of these different services, that variety is king, right? If you have a service that that's like Netflix, but all you release on there is horror movies, you're not going to have as many subscribers, right? You have to mix up the content. You have to have those platformers. You have to have those strong narrative games, like Tell Me Why, which was probably one of my favorite Xbox. I think it was really a second party game, but my favorite Xbox exclusive of this year, if I'm going to be honest. But you have to have that big mixture. And, some of them are going to be games that, might have taken the developer 2 years to make. Some of them might be games that, took the developer 5 years to make. Some, might have a huge, ridiculous budget. Some might have a very, very low budget. But that's just the thing about what Xbox is doing. I think it's amazing that they were able to release 15 games, especially, in 2020 with everything going on, with COVID and everything like that. I think it really is amazing that they were able to release those games. But if anything, it actually excites me more about the future because, some of the games interest me, some of the games didn't interest me, but a lot of what they have shown me is coming really, really has grabbed my attention. I can't wait to play the next Perfect Dark. I can't wait to play, the new Fable, the new Halo game, 12 Minutes, which is a game that I'm a little upset didn't release this year because I'm really looking forward to that. But that's the thing of it. It's different games for different gamers, right? We're not all going to like the same thing. It's amazing that they were able to release as much software as they did this year. But what's even more amazing than that is that all of the software was really, really different and differentiated itself from the other pieces of software, right? They didn't release 15 first-person shooter games or 15 Last of Us clones. They released 15 widely different games that are directed and towards different gamers to interest people to come into the Xbox Game Pass ecosystem. And I think that's amazing.
Well, what what basically what you're saying is, and what jumps to my brain pan is diversity.
Yeah,
it is something that as a corporation, Microsoft pushes, right, the boundaries of. But in gaming is something that, and I say this all the time, and again, I'm going to have a t-shirt that says this, not every game is for every gamer. See, I never played Minecraft, but I played the shit out of Minecraft Dungeons and is still playing that game because it's fantastic. Microsoft Flight Simulator, really not Boom's bag, but will I try it? Sure. Again, we can go into all 15 games where you start talking about RTS type of games, like for instance, Gears Tactics. Again, something here for everyone, which is what I like. Now, granted, and I've said this before, I definitely want a Fable to be a third person story driven banger. I think we all do. I think we all expect it to be honest with you. I think we all expect Halo to return to greatness with the certain people coming back to right the wrongs of others. We have a strong suspicion that Avowed is going to be potentially a game of the year contender just based on who's making it and what we've seen so far. So there is a lot to get excited about. But you know what? We're talking about 2020. And when you look at the year in total, when you overall grade what Microsoft has done, all you can do is stand up and cheer for this company because they remind me of the engine that could, right? They lost the generation very early, with a lot of stumbling that went on. Now, granted, things started to change a little bit in 2017, late 2017, when Phil Spencer was promoted to head of Xbox. We saw a change in ideology with post E3 2018, with the 5 studios purchased and the creation of the initiative. But when you look at what they did in 2020, my God, I don't think they've had a better year in the history of the brand. Folks, they bought one of the biggest development studios in the world. Okay, Doom, Fallout, the Wolfenstein. Pick your
Elder
game.
Scrolls.
Elder Scrolls are Xbox exclusive first-party games. And then on top of that, they released 2 brand new consoles that are just nothing short of amazing. I mean, look, folks, I'm going to get to it because we're going to talk about the future and what we expect in a second. If I were being serious, and I am, of course, being serious, and I'm not pulling your leg and trying to get brownie points from Microsoft. Listen, I know they listen to the show, but I'm only speaking the truth as an Xbox first gamer. I would honestly give the Microsoft Xbox division easily a 9 out of 10, and I might even be shortchanging them. That would be my grade. I would even dare say that I think that the maybe even a 9.5 out of 10. I mean, I say that because of what they have done. Now, sure, there are going to be people that look at the glass as being half full. I don't look at life at that. My glass is always half. Hold on a sec. My glass is always half full rather than half empty. And there are several people in this community that look at their glass and the Microsoft glass as being half empty rather than half full. So, and they're entitled to that opinion. But I think, considering the year that we have had in the world, you cannot argue that Microsoft brought it 1,000%, and what they have going in the future, which we're going to get into in a minute, is just very, very exciting for you as someone that has been on this show for over a year, has been covering Xbox, who talks about Xbox even when you're not on this show. What grade would you give Xbox? Now, and this is going out to the chat as well. What would you personally grade Xbox for 2020 as a corporation, but more importantly as a platform? Let's get some numbers out there. I mean, what do you think?
I mean, for me, the way that I look at it is I really, I've been an Xbox fan for a very long time, ever since the very first console came out. And I was fortunate enough that my parents were able to buy, the very first Xbox for me. And I unwrapped it with Halo 2. No, I unwrapped it with Halo 1, but then a few years later, I got Halo 2. I was so excited. But looking at where the company has progressed, historically, and looking at where they were throughout this generation and what they've done to transition themselves and the changes that they've made, their marketing material for this year was top notch. Their drive to continue getting that mind share was absolutely amazing. PlayStation would come out with something, Phil would make his profile pick the CPU of the Xbox console, right?
Love it.
That is absolutely, positively just immaculate, right? they have released several games. Some of them may not be for you, but we just talked about that diversity is important to them. They launched a console in a COVID-ridden age, in more countries than they ever have done before. They went out of their way to rectify errors, mistakes of the past, and to interest Japanese studios in being put onto their platform, and ultimately just the amount of transparency, and when they do something wrong they admit to it and they try to make it up to the fans as bigly or as much as they can.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
For all of those reasons, and for where they were years ago to where they are now, and finally seeing the culmination of everything that they've done to get to this point, I don't see how you couldn't give them a very high score. For me, because I believe that you can always do better, I'm going to give them a 9.
Okay, that's good. Strong.
I have no problem with you giving them a 9.5. For me, I'm going to give them a 9 because once again, I think they did a banger of a job, but I always feel like you can always do better. I don't think anyone should ever get a 10, in my opinion.
You know what? You bring up some really fantastic points, and I can't argue that. I think that you're absolutely right. But you know what? One of the most important aspects of your point that I completely glossed over, and I didn't take for granted, but completely forgot, is the point about folks understand that Zemi just brought up an amazing point. Microsoft launched the Xbox Series X and S in 36 countries, and then followed that 9 days later with 6 more countries for a total of 41. Right? I think that's what it was. 35. Yeah. It was it was 36 to launch, 5 on the back end, bringing it up to 41 countries. Sony only released it in a dozen countries to start, and I think it was 7 more. It might have been 7 more. It was a few more afterwards. They were under 20 for the entire world. So understand how big of a deal that is. This is the biggest launch Microsoft has ever had during a COVID-ridden world. So that is a fantastic point. But again, the only thing that I say that we want to see is their first-party output. And we're going to see it. And someone put it in the chat over here. Let me see if I could find it, about how they're going to start 2021 with the Medium on the 28th of January. Yeah, that's a big deal, folks. That is a great opening salvo, if you will. Zemi, we're going to get to our expectations momentarily. I do have to catch up with some of these outstanding and very generous, quite frankly, very generous super chats. Michael Kullick drops not 1, but 2 additional super chats. And the first one, he says, Christmas wish of the year, new Banjo-Kazooie in the near future, remakes too. Listen, dude, you don't understand. You just warmed my heart. I have been banging that drum. I don't understand how we don't know about it. Now, if it's being worked on and it's a secret source project, good on them for not letting the cat out of the bag. But I think that after seeing the reception that Banjo and Kazooie got for Smash, and how we've seen something like Sackboy, for instance, for Sony's PS5, do very well for them. How Astrobot, which was a demo, did so well for Sony, and again, I platinumed it. It's one of my favorite games of the year. I'm a big platform kind of a dude, and I think that if Microsoft can't do it, let's say, for instance, they just can't find a team of their 35 teams to figure it out, there's the Playful Corp, or there's the people that brought us Yooka-Laylee that could do it. And they're all ex-Rare dudes and dudettes. So sign them up and get them involved, and let's get a new Banjo-Kazooie. I'll put it this way. I'm not even greedy. I will take a Resident Evil 2-esque remake for Banjo-Kazooie 1. To give me the original redone and give it the gloss and the fuzziness that the character's hair would have. Give me the Resident Evil 2 makeover for Banjo-Kazooie 1, and we're talking. He drops a second super chat, says, definitely great to see the presence in Japan that they were lacking forever. Hope that they cap it off with a few more Japanese studio acquisitions. Yeah, I believe big acquisitions are coming. I think that we're going to get some big bombs in spring. And I say that once the ink is dry with Bethesda and ZeniMax, you're going to start hearing more acquisitions and more. There'll be more podcasts for sure talking about who they're going to sign next. Crap Gamers Daddy drops an additional very generous $5 super chat and says, do you think it's possible that Xbox could supplement their 2021 lineup by putting a third-party multi-plat game day one on Game Pass? Yeah, I do. And you know what? I'm going to call it right now. I could probably be wrong on this. The first major third-party game that's going into Game Pass day and date, folks, get ready. Hold on to your pants, is going to be the Mass Effect remake trilogy. That's right. I'm calling it right now. I have no authority to make such a call, and I have no rhyme or reason to suggest otherwise. Mm-hmm. But my guess is that the first big one, the big bomb that's coming to Game Pass in 2021 is going to be the Mass Effect HD remaster. That's my take on it. But again, I'm probably wrong, but what the hell? You know what? I'm not afraid of being wrong. Zemi, look, let's get into expectations. Mm-hmm. Coming off of a very solid and strong 2021, where we saw two consoles, we saw xCloud come to fruition. It's launched in other countries. It's doing very well. We've seen 15 first-party studio games come out. It's an incredible year. So Game Pass, 20 million subscribers, folks. It's W after W after W after W for Team Microsoft. But as gamers, we're never satisfied with what we did last week or the week before or 2 weeks ago. We want more, and we want it now. So the question to the chat and the question to Zemi is, what are your personal expectations for the Microsoft Xbox platform, but more importantly, their first-party output? I'll give mine on the back end. What's your take on that, Zemi?
You know, I truly feel that we will see Starfield in 21. I really feel that way. I mean, of course, you know, with the current world situation, that might have been a reality before, but maybe it might get pushed back to 22. But I truly do feel like we could quite possibly see a Starfield you know, this upcoming year, and that would be a first party Xbox game with the ZeniMax deal. You know, I don't feel as strongly about Fable. I don't think we're going to see Fable in 21. I think 22 is probably, you know, more of what we're going to see that with. Of course, I think well, I really hope that we see 12 minutes sometime in 21.
Yes.
Because I really want to play that game, and I really wanted to play that game this year, but I guess it got pushed back or whatever. You know, it's okay. You know, part of me is thinking maybe we might see Perfect Dark in 21 because, you know, we know that it's in a playable state, which, you know, I mean, early builds can be in playable state, you know what I mean? So
yes.
And you know, we have an idea that they have been working on that game for a decent little bit now. And they did show us that trailer during the VGA. So, you know, that might be a little bit hoping too much. Forza, I think that there's a very, very good chance that we will see the next Forza game, Forza 8, whatever it is called, Forza Motorsports, you know, whatever it may be. Hopefully it's Motorsports, because I don't want to shave off my beard, because, you know, that wager still set. That was a wager that we made this year. If it's Horizon, I got to shave my beard, but I'm really hoping it's Motorsports. But I think that is very much a very good possibility of what we could see, you know, just game wise. Also, I think it's kind of just like a safe thing to say that Psychonauts 2.
Oh yeah, that's a strong one too. Yeah,
I think that's a very, very safe, a safe one to say. Another safe one to say, I feel it's safe to say, would be Halo Infinite. I really do.
Yeah,
think we will see Halo Infinite drop next year. Other than that, you know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see just like out of nowhere, like Hive Buster, you know, just drop it, you know, just like off radar is Alpha Protocol 2. I'd love to see that. It's not going to happen, but I'd like to see it. But yeah, are we gonna circle around to like what we think like Xbox's strategy is gonna be? You know,
Yeah, we'll definitely we'll definitely circle around to that. I want to grab the floor for a second, and there are 4 games that that immediately jump off the page that are coming out next year. That there's just no doubt about it. And I think that they're smaller games, but they're games that are relevant. Each one offers something different, which again, diversity being the key aspect to Microsoft, which is what I love about them. And if you start off the year with the medium, which is going to be a AAA banger, it is going to be a game that maybe not everyone plays. Like Zemi is not the biggest horror fan, so I don't know if you're going to miss it. But the game I think is going to be so good, it's going to be hard to miss. So that's what you start off January 28th with. But there are 4 games on the back end of that have me completely amped for sure. First of all, Crossfire X by the house that brought us Control and Alan Wake and and Quantum Break. Remedy has never done a first-person shooter before. They're doing one now. Listen, regardless of what your take is on that company, they're a dope studio, and they're making a first-person shooter with a story. I'm not saying that Call of Duty didn't have a story, but this is Remedy telling the story. My amp levels are through the roof. How about again 12 minutes? Zemi, that game looks amazing. The voice acting in that game, top tier people.
Dafoe!
William Dafoe. Come on, that guy's coming back as the Green Goblin in Spider-Man 3. What more could you ask? And then here's a smaller one that's been in development for years that I'm looking forward to as a Zelda fan. Tunic. That's being made. That game looks amazing. I cannot wait for that game for sure. And of course, The Ascent, based on what? Cyberpunk, folks. In the Cyberpunk universe, and it's a top-down shooter like Diablo. Holy shit, sign me up, please. So those are 4 that I'm very much looking forward to on top of the medium. So let's talk about what you were just saying and circle back around to your particular point. I'm going to say this. There is Microsoft might have accidentally on purpose positioned themselves to really push the boundaries of what is expected from a first-party development house like Microsoft Game Studios. And I say that with no disrespect for Sony, but I mean, we have to call a spade, folks. They shot their load this year, and it was a good one. There's no doubt about it with all of the games. I mean, for crying out loud, my game of the year is still Ghost of Tsushima. But with that said, just on the 5 titles that we just mentioned, you have Psychonauts, you have potentially Forza Horizon 5, you got Halo Infinite, and there's a bunch of other ones.
Why do you have to say Horizon?
Because I want you to shave your beard. That's why I'm saying it. Sorry.
Don't do me like that.
But they could have an unbelievable year in 2021. And I think that where we're going to see some shortcomings is from Sony's side. And I say that because God of War is not coming out next year. I don't even think you're getting Gran Turismo simply because, well, it's polyphony. They always delay their shit. They're the king of delays. Now, the one that we're probably going to get is Horizon. I'm figuring maybe the 4th month of the year we'll get Horizon Forbidden West. But of course, Ratchet and Clank. We can't forget that. But I don't know how much more we're going to get from them. There's another one by the game that made the shooter game that launched the PlayStation 4, something or other. My God, I just watched a trailer on it. Something is coming out. So there's 3 for Sony, strong titles. But I think Microsoft could potentially really knock it out of the park. So my expectations for 2021 are through the roof. And I think that we could see, I mean, it's possible if they start off with the medium, Zemi, and they close out with the Halo Infinite. And Halo Infinite is the quadruple A bomb that we all expect it to be. They could sneak out a 10, in my opinion. What are your expectations, circling back around to your point?
Like overall, like just like general strategy.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, so whenever I'm looking at Xbox's strategy, I mean, of course, I think that we're going to see, them grab up even more, first, third party games and put them into Game Pass. With a lot of the rumors that are, well, not the rumors, but a lot of the disappointment from many, many people around Cyberpunk, I think that we could possibly see Cyberpunk 2077 maybe in maybe in Game Pass a little bit earlier than what some of us might have possibly thought, just to like boost up revenue for the game, because there has been a lot of people refunding that game, and a lot of very, very upset. I wouldn't be surprised potentially whenever like the next gen upgrade, maybe a month after like the next gen like upgrade comes out, possibly maybe seeing that into Game Pass. But what really, really excites me is like, their general strategy for, xCloud, right? I want to see what they do with that. And I don't know if we will see, and be able to play with what they do with that, but I kind of expect that we might get some direction of where they're going to take Game Pass. You've mentioned it, I've mentioned it. We both think Game Pass is going to be on televisions, right? On your Samsung, smart TV.
Yep.
And also kind of, made the hope that, it will be on last gen consoles. I'm hoping that, around E3 next year, they might shed some light on what their future plans, what their roadmap, their, beyond what is currently being done with xCloud is going to look like. And that is something that really, really excites me. Like like what you were just saying beforehand, talking about exclusives, I definitely agree with you along the lines of, we're probably going to see like the new Horizon Forbidden West, but I doubt we're going to see the next God of War. I think pretty much like the heavy hitting Sony exclusive games are going to be very, very light next year. But I definitely think we're going to see a lot more, at least 3, 4, potentially more Xbox exclusive games. I think that, with their strategy, I think Archimedes said this, or this was in like a rumor. I do agree and think that we will see probably a price cut on the Series X, if nothing else, the Series S. I think we will definitely see a price cut on that around holiday season, potentially to push even more sales for like the next gen consoles. But a lot, because here's the thing about Xbox, like they're such a shocking company, right? They really have broken the mold of what a video game or what a console manufacturing company is, right? Because before, late 2019, 2020, we would have probably never expected Xbox to come out with, smart delivery, but they did, right? We would probably never expected them to come out with Xbox All Access, being able to have pay for your console on monthly installments, right? That's the thing that I really want to just kind of cover here for a second, is that they have really broken the mold so much. In some ways, they're kind of unpredictable of what they might do next. And that's something that really, really excites me whenever talking about the strategy of this company going into next year. And even, 2022 and the years beyond, it's really, really exciting to be, just to be in gaming, but to be someone who actually watches what these companies do and covers what they do. And then also just to be a gamer right now is just really, really exciting.
Yeah, dude, there's no doubt about it. I love everything you said about what we can expect with Microsoft in 2021. A couple of big bomb super chats came in. Our good friend Reggie Mobile 9 drops an outstanding Very generous, $15 super chat. It says, great show, Boom and Zemi. Microsoft has the potential to own fall of 2021. I think Starfield will be out next fall as well. Could you imagine in a 2 or 3 month span that we get Starfield, which is going to be an exclusive for the Xbox? There's no doubt about that. And then you have Halo Infinite in the same 3 month span, in the last quarter. Oh my God. I mean, that is just
one thing to remember also about Bethesda. Bethesda may change because they're being acquired, but what Bethesda likes to do is they don't like to actually show off their games until they are ready to release their game.
Months before it's supposed to come out. Yeah, they're notorious for that.
That is their strategy, because why build up hype and excitement for 2 years out, I guess, is their outlook. But like whenever Skyrim dropped 11 it was literally the year of like the VGA before, so less than a year out they showed off Skyrim. And it's not impossible to say that, okay, well, they show off maybe Starfield early in spring or possibly at E3, and then it comes out, the following day. That's what they did with Fallout 76, the game that we should probably all just kind of forget ever came out. They showed it off at E3, and then it came out the same exact year, right? So they are one of those companies that they show off, and then it's almost like they immediately have it out. So I wouldn't be shocked at all.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that we could. I mean, again, we don't know what E3 is going to look like this year. It's probably going to be virtual. I'm pretty sure I can. And Cognito and I from the Iron Lords were talking the other day. I'm pretty sure that Microsoft has canceled all live in-person events up until past E3 2021. So we're probably going to get something. I'll put it to this way: whether you hate the guy, love the guy, or whatever, Jeff Keighley's Game Awards should be the foundation for all of these shows moving forward. I thought it was magnificently done. And I think that E3, if handled the same way, or Microsoft takes a page out of his book, because they work together. So if he's going to do it, and he did the Xbox showcase like he did the Game Awards 2020, just in the beginning of December, it would be a big win. And I agree with you. I think that it would be. That is where they would show that who's your Lord and Savior there? What is his name again?
Oh, Todd Howard.
How did I forget poor Todd? I love Todd Howard.
Again, I need to like print off some more pictures of him to put in my closet, in my altar. And I'm hoping that I can find some really nice candles on sale.
You can burn those candles for him.
Yeah, well, I always light a candle for my savior, Todd Howard, in my closet.
I like Todd Howard. I think he's a very, very personable person.
Man. Whenever he walks out on that E3 stage, like he just walks out with swag. Like he does. He knows he's about to give the people something that they really want. Now a few months later, they may be screaming at him like, "Where this bag is crap. How did you like why did you give me this Fallout 76 bag? This is this bag's awful." But whenever he walks out on that stage, if you pay attention, you'll look at everybody else walking out on that stage, and a lot of them are very, very nervous. But Todd Howard, he walks out there and he's just like he just has the swag.
He has a sense of arrogance to him that he knows he's the shit, and I like it. I
love him. He's a great guy.
You definitely can't argue that. Listen, folks, this has been a great way to close out 2020. As a content creator. I will say that sometimes you kind of burn the candle on both ends. I know a lot of people were wondering if I was going to do shows all the way through next week. If something major, like let's say, for instance, Zemi and I were talking earlier, let's say, for instance, on December 29th, Capcom is purchased by Microsoft and they make that announcement, rest assured we're going to talk about it. But for the general purpose of enjoying the holidays, actually recharging our batteries, this is in fact going to be the last major show of Double Barrel Gaming. This has been an incredible 2020. I have seen growth in a way I've never seen possible. I was hoping to have surpassed 5,000 subscribers. I am closing in on 7,300. That is 2,000 plus more than I expected. Of course, the goal, the next notch on the belt, if you will, is 10K. When that happens, I will officially start selling merch. I'm going to be working with a few designers to potentially come up with some new ideas for designs for the channel in regards to t-shirt sales. That is coming in 2021. I could not have done it. I would have not been able to accomplish this goal if it wasn't for, first of all, the panel members on Primetime Gaming, the Xbox Factor podcast, and of course, Breakfast with Boom. If I didn't have the panel members to support my dream, there would be no shows. And more importantly, and just as important as the people that come to talk about these games, is you, the listener. Thank you so much for not only supporting something that I mean, again, folks, I'm 50 years old. I jumped into the YouTube game super late, did not know I could even garner an audience. And the fact that I have people that tune in each and every week, or even listen on the replay, it's still humbling, and it blows my mind that people want to hear what we have to say. So of course I want to thank you, and of course the super chats. I could not be in this position to do giveaways the way I have done this year. And this year we have went well beyond I could have ever imagined. Over $3,000 worth of giveaways. And again, Mrs. Boom and I, we're not rich, not even close. But we do like giving back. And we were able to do that thanks to the generosity of the people that continue to support Double Barrel Gaming through Super Chats, through Patreon, and through channel membership. So, of course, I want to say thank you for that. And to kind of just close out the year in general, I just want to wish you and your family and your friends a very merry holidays. Again, regardless of whether you celebrate Kwanzaa, whether you celebrate Hanukkah or Christmas or whatever you celebrate, please do it safely. Do not drink and drive. Be kind to one another, and just take the time to enjoy people that you were around, because again, COVID has proven that at any moment it could take your loved one. So do definitely reach out to people that you may not have reached out to, and say hello. But Zemi, listen, brother, this has been a great way to close out the year. We've had as a team on the Xbox Factor podcast one hell of a 2020, and I'm looking forward to 2021 bringing you more. For us bringing you more Xbox greatness. Tell everyone about where they can reach out to you. Check out the Constant Gamer website, and more importantly, get you some subscribers to your outstanding YouTube channel.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, all you have to do is go to constantgamer.com. That is my new website. And Mr. Boomstick himself is actually going to become a writer for that website, and write like 1-2 maybe articles a month, or just whenever he has the time to do that. But on the website, we're covering gaming news, game reviews, features, just tons of different things, and more stuff will be coming to the website eventually as well. And then from that website, you can actually click on 2 socials. You can click on one to go to our Twitter and follow us over there. We will be doing even more giveaways as time goes on. And then it's just a great way to stay up to date on gaming news and what Constant Gamer is currently doing, what I'm currently doing. And then there's also a button there to click, and it will take you directly to our YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is called Constant Gamer, and on that channel, we do game reviews, tutorial videos, and gaming news as well. So yeah, just definitely, go to constantgamer.com, check it out, let me know what you think. And then of course, you guys can also go and check out my Twitch page. It's on Twitch, it's still called Zimmy Games. I haven't transitioned that over. I don't know if I'm going to, but I actually have not been streaming that often. But probably the beginning of next year, me and Mr. Boomstick will hopefully be on there playing the rest of
eventually. Yes.
Little hope. Boom. By the way, I've looked really forward to not playing that game for a very long time.
Well, we're gonna have to get back into it. We got to scare the bejesus out of you for sure.
I know it. I don't want to go through the rest of that police station. But yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys all have a fantastic holiday season. Christmas in 2 days, whatever you celebrate. I hope you guys have a good holiday. And I'll see you guys back next year.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to see you back next year. The first show of the year for Double Barrel Gaming is going to be January 4th, where we return to full form and well rested and recharged batteries for the first prime time gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends episode of the year. And then, of course, we're going to continue our streak that particular week with new episodes of the Xbox Factor podcast. Everyone should be back to their position and seats. And of course, we will be doing Breakfast with Boom that particular Friday. And again, we just want to wish you guys a very happy holidays. 2 super chats, I believe 2 super chats came in. Yes. Crap Gamer's Daddy actually asks one question. He says, it's early, but what will Xbox one last thing at for E3 and I'm going to say you're going to hear the theme song for Killer Instinct come on, where the lights are going to go black, and Killer Instinct 2, the proper Killer Instinct 2 is going to be announced, and I'm going to literally crap my pants in delight because I am. It's one of those games. The fighting game genre still holds a huge part of this world. Microsoft is currently sitting on one of the best fighters in the history of fighting games. You can challenge me on this. Killer Instinct is a powerful IP, and the 2 studios that put that game together are just it's still an amazing playing, but more importantly, a launch title that looks next gen still to this day. We definitely need a new Killer Instinct. And Smitty Smith, our good friend, bringing us back to church right before the holiday, he says this after dropping a $5 super chat: happy holidays to the Boomstick family, panel and chat, the Book of X. And yes, thank you and happy holidays to everyone. And again, folks, we just want to wish you again for the 10th time, because I think it's more important now than ever. Wish you a very, very safe holiday. I'm going to close out the show with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something my dear old dad taught me. And I think now it's more important than ever. And he used to say, son, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. Be safe. Don't drink and drive. And we'll see you next year on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor podcast.